Hey, hold on.
Hey,
Are
how
you
you doing?
good? How are you?
I'm doing great. Great.
Well, first, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, and I'm so excited because I love the whole project. So let's,
Uh,
yes, so
Thank you.
let's get started. So in Detroit too, I feel like you were really working on finding yourself. What inspired you to do so?
Well, um, it was it was not by choice. It was by, I feel like I was gonna self-destruct if I didn't like take the time to figure out what was going on, analyze how I was feeling. I was feeling like broken. I was feeling on the inside. I was feeling broken. I was feeling like very depressed, very so much anxiety, so much just like I just didn't feel aligned, you know what I mean? And I had to like stop everything I was doing because it was to the point where I was burnt out. And I just like I'm sure I lost a lot of money, opportunities, some like, plays that I could have probably made, but my whole time I've been in this industry, like ever since I started seeing some type of success, it's always been you got to stay hot, you got to stay on their necks, you got to like that mentality, and it was really wearing on me. And I've been doing it for everybody else. I felt like, and not even doing it for myself at that point. So I stopped, had to analyze myself, and I just took some time just to be still, and like I wasn't on social media. And I started doing therapy, which helped out a lot. And I've always been somebody who was like spiritually inclined. Like I was always like meditating since I was like, uh 16 or something like that. And I knew how to deal with certain things, but this was at a new height for me, a new level of like feeling like this. I wanted to, I was like considering ending my life. And once I did take that time though, and one of the most frustrating things was like I was trying to make music and it wasn't I wasn't having fun with it, so I wasn't making it's my happy place. So if I'm not happy or having fun making music, then it's not gonna turn out how I want it to. So that was the most frustrating thing. And I realized that when you do something for like over 10 years or so, like anything, it could be journalism, right? It could be music, it could be flipping burgers. It's like you're gonna lose like that fire that you had, like that like passion that you once had for it. And you either gotta change your profession or you gotta figure out, well, what made you want to do it in the first place and reconnect with that feeling. And that's what I did. I went back to when I was like sleeping in the studio, like being that dedicated to it. I went back to when like, I was first rapping on a Friday night cypher on the radio in high school, and like when I rapped for Kanye, or even when I rapped for my mom, like I was going back to all of these monumental moments in my life. And it felt like I was returning to my passion, but I was returning with an expanded mindset and like a better version of myself. So I feel like I was able to bring that to the music. And then once I did, and once I realized that, okay, my purpose is to inspire. That's my purpose in life. It's not just to be a rapper and to just like make it out of my city. It's like my purpose is to inspire, and the best way I can do that right now is through my music. And that was kind of like where my mindset was, and it was like a long build up to get to this album.
How long would you say that transformation process was where you isolated yourself? Because you said, sometimes people might want to jump in and force that work. So what was the total time you took of I'm not dealing with anyone and focusing on myself?
Definitely about a year, honestly. Like maybe not all, like not the whole year, but there was a time for there are times where like people who I worked with, they would give me my space, for months at a time. And man, I went to like the south of France and was like meditating on top of mountains and like doing just like things that I feel like I really needed to do. and exploring myself, you know, and like working on myself. I really got into a good workout regimen, which helped out a lot too with my mood and gave me more time to myself. And you know, I did a lot of things, just like experience things that brought me joy, have fun, you know, try new things. Like I hopped out of an airplane, I went skydiving, you know, it's like,
Is the most life-changing thing when you jump out of that plane. I did it
yeah,
years ago and I felt like I was unstoppable once I did.
yeah,
Would you do it again?
yeah. I don't have to do it again right now. I probably would do it like I could do it, you know, but I didn't have to like do it. Like I wasn't like addicted to it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Sorry. So, I mean, I think it's amazing that you did all that. And for people who are afraid to face themselves and find themselves, you did say that it wasn't by choice. Do you have a piece of advice on something they can do today? Maybe it's not something big, but whether it is just meditation or writing things down or talking to somebody.
Man, those things you just listed are very accurate. Like, look, I got my journal right here. Just like I write stuff. This is like where I be writing every day. I write in, you know, and I believe in like colors and stuff too. So I make sure I have a gold journal because gold is the color of abundance. And like this is like I write a lot of my um intentions in here and like things I want to manifest in here, you know. That helps out a lot. It like helps me feel empowered, and I feel like that's the first step of like getting it out into the universe, you know. Like even like one of the things I write in here is like I am unstoppable. That's like one of the things, many things I write in here on almost on a daily basis is I am unstoppable. So when I started my album like that, it was deeper than just an intro. It was like that was my daily affirmation, you know, and it was important for me to start it like that. And definitely meditation. It helps. It when I don't meditate, I can tell the difference drastically. It's like I'm not aligned, you know. So I take about an hour a day at the. Now it's very easy to take an hour a day out, and like for me, it's an hour. For some people, it could be 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Like meditate, write your intentions, and communication. I realize how important communication is, like to tell how you feel. And I'm still not the best communicator. You know, there are times where I hold my tongue still or like, you know, just because from habit, but I've been getting better at like expressing myself.
At least you're aware of that. And I love hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I felt when listening to the project was you can just hear and feel the confidence in the whole project. So you talked about how you were broken before. How did or do you overcome moments of insecurity and doubt?
By realizing that I was just talking to Big Boy's neighborhood, Big Boy, legendary Big Boy, radio personality. I don't want to just get confused with Outkast Big Boy. And he was just saying that on social media, which by the way, I love social media. I'm not bashing it at all. It's amazing that we can all connect and like share our lives and aspects of our lives. Cause I feel like don't nobody is on there like just 100% them or putting their whole life on there. I think that's kind of like a little much, but he was saying that like, man, it's crazy that people will judge you before they love you. You know, it's easier for them to hate you before they love you and pick you apart. And I grew up like, you know, going to church and realize and being told that God is the only one that could judge you. You know, so it's weird that we take time to like hate on each other. You know, we were talking about like smash or pass. Like it's just such a like invitation to just break somebody down and to point out, you know, their flaws. And you know, when you're a human being, it's tough, especially when you care about what people think. You know, and I'm somebody who cares about what people think. You know, I'm an artist, my heart is wide open. So to go back to your question, the confidence came from realizing that I'm in control of my feelings, and like until I give somebody else the control of my feelings, like until like, which I've done a lot of times, you know, I've given it could be to anybody like who says something and it affects me, but it's like, no, I got to choose to let that affect me. And I was like, let me just go out here and just put what's on my heart out, because somebody gonna be able to relate to it. I came to the conclusion that it's like if I really want to inspire, if I feel like that's my life purpose, then I have to sacrifice a lot of my privacy and a lot of the things I learned in order to help somebody else or for them to be able to relate to it. And that was my whole like goal.
Yes.
And that's how I get past like,
Hate.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like I'm walking in my purpose. So if you hating on that, that has something to do with you, and everybody isn't gonna like everything. So
Exactly. So I want to get into specific tracks now. So let's start with Deep Reverence. You said in high school you learned chemistry, biology, but not how to cope with anxiety. So what are some other classes that you wish high schools taught?
definitely like mental awareness. Uh I mean they teach mental health, or it's funny how people can separate health and mental health. Really it's just health. It's really like the sub part of we don't call like our arm health, like my arm health is really good today. My finger health is like incredible. It's like it's really just all connected. So it's like health, which we do have health in high school, but I think they need to just expand on that. Like they need to have a communication class, and not communications like business aspect, communication of people, and I think those are such important, and taxes. They
Yeah.
need to have a whole class on taxes and like how to get around taxes. Why is it important to set up an LLC? Why is it important to set up a business? What's the advantage of setting up a business in this state as opposed to this state? Okay, when you make this much money, how much, it's just all these things that, we learn physics. I'm just like, I'm not, for somebody who wants to be a scientist or something, that's right, but that doesn't apply to my life hardly at all, like these other things do.
Exactly. On that note, what was your favorite subject in high school and your least favorite subject in high school?
My favorite subject was math, and my least favorite was chemistry.
I hated chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. I ended up like I was doing real bad in that class, but I ended up writing a song. Or actually, it was that physics. Chemistry and physics both were kind of like tough for me. I wrote a rap though, and the teacher said if you write a rap that explains all these things that we were learning and is good and like that teaches your classmates, then I'll give you an A. And I had like a D. And
Okay.
I wrote the song and recorded it, and he gave me an A, and I had to perform it like the whole day.
Did you play it or perform it for everybody? Do you remember any of the bars that you had in that physics song? Maybe you
It
can.
was like I was like, I'm moving at a constant velocity inside my ride. The force is up, down, side to side. Uh, some up, some down, friction side to side. My amplitude, so something. It was like very like educational.
That is way more fun to learn physics than it is to read in a textbook. So you did get that A.
Yeah, I did get that A, and like, cause that was part of the reason I graduated with like a 3.7, cause those two classes were really bringing me down. Like, science wasn't my strong suit, but math and English were like two things I was always good at.
Amazing. So you talk about working smarter in a few tracks. So I wanted to ask you, what is a bad working decision you made in your career that you thought was smart at the time?
I'm used to measure like the amount of hours you work
Mhm.
would translate as like how successful my day was. It's like I was in the studio all day. Like I used to be like, I'm going hard, but really sometimes I would be in the studio all day, just like, forcing it more so as opposed to just really being in there because I was inspired. So, I used to think that the amount of hours you put into something translates into it being successful, but really it's not about that. It's about working smarter. You know, there have been times where I've got more done in an hour in the studio than I have in 14 hours. And it's just because I'm in that zone. I'm in that creative mode. So, you know, it's all about listening to yourself, really, for me.
Okay. The next song I really want to talk about was one of my favorites, Harder Than My Demons. So
Mm.
you were working on yourself this whole time. Was there a specific demon you were thinking about when you were writing and recording that song? And what's the next demon you're going to overcome?
Mm. Well, I don't know if I would refer to all of these things as demons, but one of the things that I was overcoming was stepping out, getting back into the cycle of expressing myself and being vocal. Like I was, it was like I was nervous, you know, to speak up because I guess I was afraid of being judged, you know, even though I've been judged my whole half of my life now at this point. But I realized that when you're afraid to be judged, then you're afraid to be yourself, you know. So that was one of the demons I had to overcome was myself, you know, holding myself back and because of what other people thought. And my next demon to conquer, I feel is mm, I don't really have any like anything on the top of my head. One of the demons, not a demon, but one of the issues and challenges I'm facing still is like I want to be better at communicating and speaking up, you know. That's just like I think that's like a personal thing though for me.
Was there, is there anything in regards to communication that has helped you from even just from a year from now, how you communicate until now that has really helped you?
One of the things that's really helped me is just like speaking from the heart at all times. It's like when you're talking from the heart, people can understand you, even if they don't agree with it. They can at least understand you, and I realize how important it is to understand where you're coming from, you know, or to at least to express to somebody and show them where you're coming from, you know, is way better than to just like state your facts, you know. It's like, man, fuck you. But then it's like, man, I feel like I want to say fuck you because the way you treated me when I did this, man, it really hurt me. You know, it was like, there's a difference. They're both saying fuck you, but it's like, at least you breaking it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And only to things that apply to that. You know, some things don't need an explanation, but there are with the things that do, you know, they deserve that.
Okay. So I have a few more questions really quick. So I wanted to get into everything that's missing. So I did love the whole song, but one of my favorite lines was when you said, and find out random bitches can't even compare to commitment. And it sounds so much better when you say it. So it's self-explanatory for guys who have matured to that level, but what are the benefits of commitment for guys who still see no benefit at all?
The benefits are safety and partnership and companionship and um, somebody who you can open up to, somebody who you can go on a lot of just like journeys with, somebody you could trust, you know. Uh, to me, it's like I know I'm not saying I ain't judging either. It's like have fun, you know. If that's where you at in your life, if you feel like you know you like having random partners and doing all that, that's your right, you know. I don't think there is no such thing as right or wrong. It's just like what your preference is. But my preference is I rather give myself to somebody I trust and somebody who you know, and deal with the issues that we come across together,
Yeah.
as opposed to just be dealing with random people, you know, and like not knowing and not trusting them, you know.
Mhm. On the note of that same song, what was something that you thought was missing, but you realized you had it once you realized you could buy anything that you wanted?
My family.
Okay.
you know, everything I had was everything I was missing. It was like, I thought a lot of the materialistic things were the things that I was missing.
Mhm.
I got the materialistic things, they got old quick. Cars, watches, anything that I, you know, chains, whatever. And it's like, I appreciate them still, but they didn't bring me the happiness that, you know, and then I get in my house and I'm like, oh, damn, I need my family around, you know? And it's like, they were always there to start with. So that's one of the few things that, you know, I've come to that realization where it's like, you need your people around. You need the ones that love you unconditionally, you know, to be there for you at all times, not just at your lowest, but when you up too, you know, because that type of energy, that's just going to come back to you. You know, it's just going to bring you nothing but happiness and joy, really. And I know it's annoying to have your family around sometimes too. I know that. So you got to like balance it and give your space. But that, you know, I had communication issues with my family too, like with my mom. And I've gotten a lot better at that with her and like my brother and people, you know, in my family.
In regards to your family, whichever member it is, do you have a really good piece of advice, or maybe some of the favorite things you like to do with your family when you do get that time with them, that quality time with them?
Like play basketball for sure, like with my brother, my dad, like swim, kick it, watch movies together, like talk, watch, like get into series together. Me and my brother grew up. We I were heavy into comic books, heavy into Marvel and DC, and like, you know, real nerds about it for real. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, you know, The Hobbit, uh, Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super. So like that was me and my brother really relate on like content a lot, you know. And me and my mom, we kind of relate more so on health, and like she be like preaching to me about health and like spirituality. And that's where me and her be relating to each other at, you know. And me and my dad was always like a player, you know, like as far as not necessarily with, I mean, yeah, I guess with females too, but just with how he is. So me and him, that's somebody who like I kick back, have a drink with, you know, talk about my relationship, you know, talk about like, you know, just, or, you know, other relationships too, like business relationships, talk, you know, we just talk about things like that. And that's something that me and him always be relating on and having fun with.
Between your mom, your dad, your brother, who gives you like the most blunt, direct advice, no matter what it is?
My mom, for sure.
Shout out to mom. So my last question I have for you. So in 2010, in our first interview, we were talking about how you just signed with Good Music and how your Good Friday verse got cut because it got cut shorter because it was longer. The status of your debut album in 2020, we're talking about Detroit 2 going #1, and that's your 5th studio album. So what's next for Big Sean, and what do you want to be celebrating 10 years from now in 2030?
Well, what's next for me is I definitely want to return a favor and help put some more people on, like artist wise, you know, start a label like officially. And because this is my last deal officially on Good Music. Obviously, it's like Good Music for life. You know, it's a brotherhood too. But you know, now I think I'm gonna move into having my own label, and I started a production company with my best friend Lawrence, who, you know, he directed like I Don't Fuck With You, a lot of my main videos, Single Again video. Like he just has a very like I think his calling is like, you know, writing and directing. So we started a production company where we're working on TV shows, and there are a lot of them. A couple of them are further along than, you know, that I'm like probably hinting at, but I can't let 50 Cent get all that money, man. And like, you know, we got all these stories on our end. So that's something I look forward to celebrating in 10 years, along with more new music, along with more #1 albums and albums in general. You know, even if this album didn't go #1 though, I do feel like that it was #1 in a different way. because it was like I felt I was making an impact on people, you know. So the fact that it went number one on the charts too, that's like just an extra cherry on top. And yeah, and also definitely want to celebrate. Like, I would like to think that I would have a family by then as well. So
You will. That's a yes. That's I know you're going to achieve all those things. And actually, so I'm done with the interview portion, but I did want to share this story with you really quick. So
okay,
I want to tell you how this interview with you was full circle for me. And when it happened, I couldn't stop playing that song. So the reason it was full circle, I talked about our first interview in 2010. So we were talking about Rosewood and what the rules were for Rosewood on the weekend. So it was crazy. And
wow,
I was in a place where I was I was literally crying and like asking God, I'm like, I know I'm meant to do more, but I don't have that motivation. So you talked about it in the beginning of the interview. You lose that passion. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm literally crying and I just wrote from the heart whatever the message was about. I know this is a long shot, but I want to do this interview. Me and you have never interacted outside of when we did interviews like the past 10 years.
yeah,
And Twitter was the only place that we followed each other. I'm like, you know what? God, if he does this interview, I promise to never be lazy again. And then when you answered, it was just, I was blasting full circle and send the fuck out. I'm like, that was like my sign and I answered prayers. So I just want to tell you like how much that meant to me because that literally was my sign. And it's amazing to see how all that came full circle from 2010.
wow. Well, you got to keep your promise now. You gotta stay productive, stay happy, you know, as much as you can. And, you know, that was great. Something was definitely calling me too. You know, it was like, I don't, I randomly saw that. I don't see all my
We're
messages.
gonna see it at all. That's why I was like, there. And I wrote you like this long ass essay where I'm like, there's no way he's gonna read that and say yes. That was a lot, but I had, like I said, I spoke from the heart and was like, this is what I want to say. So you said you never even really see anything. So, yeah. So what spoke to you with that? That's really interesting to hear.
I don't know. It's just I know you like been supporting since day one, you know. So that was one of the things that I don't forget that. You know, I remember the interviews and I remember, you know, all of that support. I don't take it for granted either. So, you know, it's no thing for me. I appreciate you caring enough to, you know, highlight the project. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on everything. And we'll talk again in 2030 about your production,
Nah, yeah.
your movies and all that.
Yeah, for sure. Take care and stay up during this time and, you know, keep doing you.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
All
Bye.
right. Peace.